In Sparta, weak babies weren't raised with love. They were tossed into the mountains, left to die as worthless offerings to the state. Your very first breath wasn't celebrated, it was judged. Your life began as a brutal state inspection. You weren't born to laugh, to play, or to know peace. In Sparta, you were born for one purpose only, to fight and to die in endless war. From the beginning, your body didn't belong to you. In ancient Greece, kids in Athens learned philosophy, art, and music. In Sparta, your only teachers were hunger, pain, and fear. At age 5, you were torn from your mother's arms and thrown into the agoge, a brutal system designed to break children into soldiers. Your bed was never soft or warm, just cold, hard earth, where comfort was forbidden and pain was considered the only true teacher. Hunger wasn't an accident. It was routine, part of training. Starvation taught you to endure and forced you to steal or suffer. Stealing food was encouraged, but getting caught meant savage beatings, punishment worse than the hunger that drove you in the first place. You were whipped until your skin tore open, not for failing, but simply to remind you that pain was the foundation of Spartan life. Your life as a Spartan child was not about growing or learning, but surviving constant brutality from peers, teachers, and the state. Killing animals wasn't sport or food, it was a childhood game where your worth was measured in blood spilled before you hit puberty. And if you don't want to end up a Spartan child, ripped from your family, beaten for weakness, and so starved you forget why you even stole in the first place, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell like it's the last scrap of bread you'll ever find in the agoge. By 12 years old, you had already killed animals barehanded, taught that ending life was not cruelty, but proof of your Spartan soul. As a teenager, you graduated from the agoge not into freedom, but into the phalanx, where your body became another brick in Sparta's human wall. Your youth wasn't wine, songs, or women. It was endless drills, shields locked with brothers, learning that your life meant nothing outside the formation. You were a soldier in forgotten wars, nameless battles against neighbors, where victory meant survival, not glory. Years passed in blood and mud. You weren't a prince of leisure. You were a hoplite drenched in sweat, scars, and silence, just another expendable Spartan. Then your brother Cleomenes died without heirs, leaving you a crown that felt more like a shackle than a prize. The throne wasn't glory, it was a consolation prize from fate, proof that your life was dictated by death long before you marched to war. To secure your rule, you married Gorgo, your own niece, not for love, but for politics. Even your marriage was Sparta's property. Gorgo, one of the few Spartan women with a voice, didn't whisper romance. She reminded you of Sparta's creed, with your shield or on it. Sparta had 2 kings, not one. You shared the crown, which meant you were never truly sovereign, a king shackled to another king. Worse still, the Ephors ruled over you, 5 old magistrates who reminded you daily that even kings bowed to ancient laws. Your meals weren't feasts but rations in the mess hall, eaten in silence with soldiers. Even as king, you lived like a common man. The Oracle of Delphi sealed your fate. Sparta would lose either its freedom or its king. You knew instantly which one you had to sacrifice. The prophecy wasn't guidance, it was a sentence. Every step you took after it was just a walk toward your grave. While Athens built theaters and debated politics, you were bound by prophecy and ritual, a king chained to gods you couldn't escape. The festival of Carneia struck as Persia advanced. Religion forbade Sparta from sending its full army. You could take only a personal guard. So you marched with just 300 Spartans, not for glory but because law and ritual had tied your hands tighter than any Persian chain. Those 300 weren't single men. Each had living sons, chosen so Sparta wouldn't lose a generation, fathers knowingly marching to die. From the beginning, you weren't leading warriors to victory. You were leading fathers to slaughter, their children left behind to bury their names. When Persia threatened Greece, you had no right to refuse. A Spartan king didn't choose war. War chose him without mercy. The Persian strategy was terrifyingly simple. Overwhelm with numbers, a tide of men so vast it could bury entire cities alive. From the start, you knew you couldn't win. No amount of Spartan courage could match an empire stretching across half the known world. Your mission wasn't victory. It was to delay, to bleed slowly so others could prepare. You were the sacrifice Greece required. While you marched to Thermopylae, Athens stayed behind in council halls, hiding behind words while you prepared to bleed. Each step toward the hot gates felt like walking into your tomb, sandals echoing like a funeral march across Greece. The pass at Thermopylae seemed perfect, a narrow choke point where 300 could stand against an ocean. It was false hope. The Persians didn't come by the thousands, but by the tens of thousands, a living ocean crashing against your fragile dam. The first clash gave you a taste of hope. Spears broke Persian armor, bodies fell in heaps, but you knew it was only stalling time. You fought under prophecy's shadow. Every strike wasn't for survival, but for destiny, each blow echoing the oracle's curse. Arrows darkened the sky until daylight died. For a moment, night fell in the middle of the day, lit only by blood and fire. Your spear splintered from the endless weight of enemies, leaving sharp wood in your hands, a king reduced to fighting with scraps. Your sword bent and broke soon after. Steel was no match for the endless tide. You were left to fight with rocks, fists, and rage. Shields cracked, helmets split. The battlefield rang with screams, iron, and the sound of men dying louder than any war horn. Still, your line held. Persians fell in waves, but each Spartan knew the truth. This wasn't a fight for victory, but for time. Betrayal came in the night. Ephialtes, a Greek traitor, revealed the secret path that turned your perfect defense into a trap. Surrounded on all sides, you realized the gods weren't saving you. They had delivered you straight into the jaws of Persia. The Thespians stayed by choice, refusing to abandon you. Even the Thebans, dragged unwilling, were swallowed in the same fate. The ground turned into a graveyard. Corpses stacked so high you fought on a hill of the dead, every step sinking in blood. Exhaustion burned through your body. Every muscle tore, every breath cut like fire. Yet you stood, because Spartans did not fall. Your men fought with madness, tearing with teeth and claws when weapons failed, refusing surrender even when broken. One by one, brothers collapsed around you, each body a wall buying you another breath, another heartbeat of resistance. Your arms shook, too heavy to lift, yet you forced them higher. In Sparta, even death had to be earned through endless struggle. Spears pierced your body, snapping bones. Each wound stole your strength, yet you still swung, drenched in your own blood. Arrows rained again, punching through armor and flesh, each one stealing a piece of you until you could barely stand. The line shattered, the last formation crumbled, men scattered, chaos consuming what had once been Spartan discipline. You collapsed among your men, Spartans, Thespians, even unwilling Thebans, all reduced to the same blood-soaked soil. Thermopylae ended not in triumph, but in silence, the screams of your brothers fading under the endless march of Persia. You gave your life, knowing from a first step it was hopeless, fighting not for survival, but to buy Greece a few more days. Yet when Greece remembered, it wasn't Sparta they honored, it was Athens, the city that debated while you bled. Your name lived on as legend, but your city was left with graves, fathers buried, and children orphaned. Why it sucked to be Leonidas. You fought, bled, and died at Thermopylae, only to see Athens steal the glory while Sparta kept the graves. And if you've got another legend, tyrant, or poor soul you'd like to see suffer, drop their name in the comments. We might roast them next. In the meantime, click on the video popping up now to see why being Vladimir Putin also totally sucks, and how power is never the freedom it seems.